development were a lot more imminent then. People had the expectation that this might start any time. Cuomo was still on the fence, and there was news reports that they were about to approve policy for shale gas any time. Now, Middlefield is in the Catskills area near Cooperstown. It's a resort community, and land preservation is very important there. And Dryden is in the Finger Lakes area, and there's a similar land ethic there of preservation, of summer homes, of tourism. So both at the time when people were feeling that shale gas development was imminent, both of these towns wanted to do something, and they passed land use policies that said shale gas development does not fit with our land use ideals here.
So what did
and then, as you noted, the industry challenged them on that.
So what did the court say exactly?
Well, the lower courts first approved. They ruled in favor of the municipalities. They said yes, municipalities can in fact ban shale gas development. Now, a lot of the argument came down to this: the industry was saying you can't regulate this. The state has to regulate it. The state is the jurisdictional body. And the municipality said, well, we might not be able to regulate it, but banning it is different from regulation, and we can ban it.
And I guess the court sided with that argument. One technicality, if I understand it correctly, the energy companies had the leases before the towns zoned for no fracking. So the companies claimed at least that they could, they shouldn't be able to do this retroactively. Why did they lose on that point? No one wants to invest money and then be told retroactively that a new law blocks your profiting on it.
Sure. Well, there's a couple different arguments here, and one is that it came down to a jurisdictional thing. What you're talking about is a takings claim, and that is a landowner can say, look, I had money coming in here, and the state effectively took it away from me. So this didn't come down to the takings claim. It came down to a jurisdictional thing about who regulates it and whether regulation includes banning or not banning. With leases come, leases go, leases expire. So that wasn't really on the table for this.
Listeners, questions or comments on the New York State Court of Appeals ruling on fracking and its implications, giving towns that have shale gas the right not to just be creatures of the state, but to decide for themselves whether they want to ban fracking or have fracking. 212-433-WNYC, 212-433-9692. For Tom Wilbur, who covers this very closely. He's a journalist in Central New York and author of the book, Under the Surface, Fracking, Fortunes, and the Fate of the Marcellus Shale. So I'm curious, how robust was the debate in these two towns about whether to ban fracking? Were there people who wanted it for the jobs and economic development? On the takeaway, they made the joke today about towns in Central New York being like the Beverly Hillbillies, Granny and Jethro, out in the hills of West Virginia, and all of a sudden, black crude, Texas tea, there's oil on their property, and they become instant millionaires. Is there a thread of that in upstate New York, or really mostly those who don't want the environmental risk?
Well, that's an interesting question, because these two towns definitely were not like that. They did not want it, so they did not have a hard time getting the town council to vote in favor of the ban. That's where it all started, in the town council room. But there are towns that do want shale gas development.